been a long time since I've logged into my Skyblock world, so let's go. Oh, I'm excited to be back, finally. The world's updated, everything's okay, and... What the heck was that? Okay, this world's got some serious issues, to say the least. Okay, weird. Anyway, I changed this off camera. I took down the hand because it was just too difficult to design around. I figure we build the buildings and then design around those buildings. Also, I changed this to hoppers after the iron farm we built. Because of this thing here, we were able to get all those. If we look, boom, we still have a whole bunch. And I'm pretty sure I have a chest back in the base over there with a whole bunch more. Yeah, look at this, an entire shulker box full. Ooh, so we've got lots of iron, which means there is no excuse not to go and build the sorting system here. So I am going to get to work on that because it's the only way we're going to reliably get redstone is if we actually make the sorting system instead of just having these chests full of stuff, because we've got like 8 there and 1 there and whatever. I want to be able to AFK and it to go, all these items, none of them go to waste, all of them go into their appropriate locations. So I'm going to get to work on that. Okay, as you can see, the sorting system is done. Now, there's a reason that there's no redstone that. I'll get into that in just a second. But in the meantime, in between these cutscenes, I did that. I got stuck in Canada for an hour and a half. It's a funny story about that. Yeah, it's been a few days. But I had this downhill snowboarding and skiing class that I do every Thursday. And it's in Canada, but we got stuck in Canada because there was a Special Olympic torch run going across the bridge to the border. So, yeah, that was an interesting day there. So this is the storage system. And we've already starting to get lots of drops here. Everything is sorted by mob. And then there's the spider stuff and the witch drops. Now, this is the most important one here. That has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different items. And that's the reason you didn't see any redstone right there. There's no redstone right there because that's just if any other item gets dropped into the system, this is where it goes. Just because every other item from mobs are sorted out, and then the witches, since I have so many, I decided to put those last. But this is the design. It's fairly simple redstone here. For those of you that don't understand redstone, it's not so simple, but that's... I wouldn't be able to come up with this myself, but this is a fairly normal design here that lots of people use. And then I have used many times in other series as well. So it's probably pretty familiar if you're with me for a long time or if you do redstone. So what I was thinking about doing to cover this ugly stuff up or into a build and actually make it look really good, I am going to make this more like one of the skeleton bones that you see, like an item, but it's a big pillar. So it's going to go up more than it normally does. Or more than it does now, and it's going to go down pretty far. I was thinking almost all the way down to the world border even. World border, sorry, and to the void. I felt like that was kind of the best option I had for building. So, also, I said previously in the series that we were going to build the bones and then build the farms around them. Although that is what the lore still is for what we did, like we found all these bones and then we built out of it. But I'm thinking we build the farms and buildings and then build the bones around. I feel like that's much easier for me to build, and it will be make all the builds look a lot better in the long run. So that is kind of the plan. And Now I've got to get more stuff, but this is so expensive, all these bones. But now we don't have to worry about it. I can go AFK overnight and get a whole bunch of bones and other items that we need, especially this redstone dust, because we can't really do any automatic farms or any more advanced farms without that redstone. And we basically used it all to make the sorting system there. And there's one more thing I wanted to address before we cut to shaping the bone, either up top or down here, depending on how many bones I actually end up with. But I wanted to talk about how the sorting system, I said it was going to be that shulker box thing for mass storage, and I decided against doing that for one reason and one reason only, because this is not going to be the only mob farm. I've completely, not realized this fully whenever I started doing this series, but the husks, which only are zombies that only spawn in the desert, drop sand. So what we needed to do over here in this desert area was do half the farm in the desert, half the farm not in the desert, because then we can get sand and gravel, because normal zombies drop gravel. So, big mistake for me. I guess we're making another farm, one where we're more advanced, or maybe upgrading this. I'm not sure about even upgrading this, or if we're going to keep it, because if we have another farm back there, then there would kind of be no point to upgrading, spending the resources to upgrade that. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what I do with it. But that was the one thing. The other thing I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to finish up this bone here, and then we can shape around this room, or make it look like they cut into the bone and made something, hollowed it out or whatever. That might be really cool. Okay, so I added not the whole silo, but this front bit, so that we can kind of see what it looks like, and it literally just looks like a silo. It doesn't look like a bone like it's supposed to, or like it will at all, because it's very flat and it's not organic, it's just geometrical. I do like, however, that right there, that one block in particular, that breaks up the straightness of the whole build. That block right there does it. So we're going to have to do something like that. I also like down here, there's the entrance. If we go down there and we see, actually the chest didn't hurt, that we kind of covered it up. So now we can work with actually building this part here. I was thinking about just kind of rounding off the floor and making it seem like they dug in to this bone. And the way I was planning on doing that is doing something like this, to where you can see these edges of bone. Oh, I might have misplaced blocks like that, but that's actually that looks good. So if we take these off, and I guess we can't do that. We can make them straight up and down still. But if you see that actually looks like somebody went and dug into this bone to make something. So this would be the central bone that they hollowed out. The issue is, if I take away this farm like we just talked about like a few seconds ago, why is this here? What is this? I guess this would just be their main storage system for stuff. I mean, they could hollow out and we could have a huge storage system in here. That would be cool. Anyway, let's put a torch. That's not a torch, but whatever. So this system here, I don't want it to only be this cobblestone and this gray stone and stuff. I want wood as well. I want dark oak logs, and I want spruce, which is why we have some spruce trees growing over there, and some dark oak I already grew. But for now, I think we need to make this little cave. I like this, and we need to replace this with bone, so that it's like they actually dug out, and we can kind of go from here and kind of dig the rest of this out. I like that a lot, actually. So if we come here, and then we bring it down a block. I feel like we need more than that. So maybe like one more block and then bring it down and start matching that up with the entrance that we dug out here. Oh, and that actually matches up perfectly. Wow, would you look at that? Okay, so something like this, where it does that. The bones obviously need to be more like this, where they're spread out and they're not even, because then it looks too uniform, in my opinion anyway. Okay, so I'm just putting the final blocks in for the half of the entrance. Not even the full thing, just half, because I want to see what this looks like. And I think it's going to look really, really cool. Okay, so we come back here. This is what it looks like. And this half. So it really does look like they just dug into the bone and didn't care where they were going. They know what they were doing. They're trying to get to this section here, and they built in to the bone. And I think this type of dynamic, well, this type of organic building really shows that. So if you copy it on the other side, I think it's going to look good, and then we can build something of a theme around the bone in the floor of this, not and keeping the bone style, but also having its own unique building style. Okay, this side took way less time, and I completely forgot about this cobblestone, but it took only like a minute, maybe 2 minutes to get this side, and then that side took like 10. So I guess I've gotten the style down, maybe, or maybe I was just being more lazy with this side, because this one looks way more smooth than this one. This one's way jagged, and I think that actually makes it look better. Just one block differences and stuff like that just makes it, I really like this design here. Boom. The only issue is lighting at this point, because these really do look a little too much like the bones, so they just kind of get in the way, and they kind of feel off. So next step, and this is the final step, is to get the wood and the other resources for the block palette. Now, there was some concrete in there. I'm not going to use it yet. I'll come and add that later once we actually get a sand farm going, because there's no way I'm going to use the sand that we already have. But I am looking for this chest. So we're going to grab a bunch of these, and I don't have that much of this. We're going to grab some of this nether quartz or nether wart block just to see. And now that I think of it, nether quartz might be okay too. I'll have to double check and creative with that, but for right now we're not going to use it. I was thinking of maybe filling this with water. I don't know if that would be good or not for this. So I'm not sure. So this is the challenging part here, is to get a block palette going at the very start of a build. That's kind of what I struggle with the most. So if I do something like this, I'm pretty sure dark oak logs like this is going to be where I go with it. Boom. Okay. Yeah, I'm liking that. That makes it look so much more like people just built in here. So if we take this path here and we turn it into an actual path, I think it's going to look much, much better. So I'm thinking the spruce wood here. And I could be completely wrong. This interior design stuff is not my forte, but for some reason I've done really good at the organic interior design. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's the organic or geometry. Maybe it's very geometric or organic, my builds. There's no in between. So whenever I do something like this, when it's inside interior decoration, it's not the best. And I was thinking around the edges, maybe adding some of this Although this is a very, very contrasty block, so there's not much that I can really do with it. Maybe if I do something like this, where I put just a few blocks there. Oh yeah, that actually looks really good. Okay. So I was thinking it was going to do too much contrast, but if you look inside, it really like pops. And it has a little bit of the white, so I think it goes pretty well. And we're going to use this very, very sparingly. So at least for this inside part where we dug into the bone. So stuff like this, maybe there's more here than normal. Kind of like this Tetris piece looking thing here. Boom. Yeah, and that adds some colors to the build as well and give me something more to work with. So I'm not sure about the wood at all. I don't know what other blocks to put, so maybe you guys can give me some suggestions, because for right now I'm actually going to leave this as is and end the episode. We're going to keep building this. I'm going to kind of plan out what other farms I might want to do eventually, but for right now I think this is going to be the main project, is to get this building palette going so we can actually see what we want to do and get going with making this world look pretty, because right now it's just a Skyblock world. There's nothing too extraordinary about it yet. It will be eventually. It will be. So I do that so much. But that is going to be the end of today's episode, so I hope you enjoyed. And tell me what you think about this building style. I really like it, but I want to know what you guys think too. So let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.